Yeah, that was smooth. That was smooth.
Showing off, you know.
I love it.
The first time we used it, I was like, oh,
Mhm.
like I know it needs to be updated. And I'm like, no, I'm still attached. It's my baby. I birthed it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, it's good.
So it is another Tribe Talking Tuesday with Miriam. And today I have my guest, Rhonda Broussard. I'm going to leave in the comments to let people know that they need to check in when they check in. And I almost always start by letting folks know that we are out here. So we are out here. Hey, um,
Hey,
what's going on? How you feeling today?
you talking to me? I feel like you're talking to
I'm
like the
talking to
caller on
you.
the radio. Caller, can you
Oh,
hear
look, look.
me?
Hello, what's going on, y'all? No, no, no. I'm talking to you. How you doing? How's it going?
Oh my goodness, it is good. In
Yeah.
the spirit of TMI, if we can have this whole conversation without me having a hot flash on camera, I will consider that a blessing. That's my goal for the next hour. So,
Hey,
yes.
that is our prayer for the next hour. May the hot flashes leave.
Yeah,
Make this happen with ease.
with
Yes,
ease, with ease.
with ease. All right. So we start the show the same way every time. I don't know if you've caught any of our episodes, but we give you a little space to let us have your 30-second commercial. So
Yes.
this is where you this is where you tell us what's up, what's down, what we need to know about you, all of that good stuff.
Love it. Give the people what they want. I am Rhonda Broussard, pronoun she, hers, founder and CEO of Beloved Community. I am a Louisiana native. We are based here in New Orleans, for centuries known as Bulbancha in Choctaw, one of the languages of our ancestors. And I am a really happy bilingual queer mama raising two amazing teenagers. I led my first career in education, and in 2016, we moved home and I started building out Beloved Community, which I think is what we're going to talk a lot about tonight. At
Some
Beloved
about?
Community, yeah.
Yeah.
So we are a New Orleans-based nonprofit that works on sustainable regional solutions for racial and economic equity. And we do it via three strands. So we support equity in schools, any type of school, K-12, higher ed, public, private, district, charter. Equity at work, where we're really looking at workforce development. As an educator, I used to think that if we can get it right in K-12, we can get it right for our young people. But what is consistently true is that our young people, particularly Black and Brown youth, are graduating from high school and are unprepared for the world of work, are unemployed, underemployed, unable to advance in their careers. And so we still need to do this work on the workforce side, right? Are our employers ready for the genius that we're bringing into the work life? So we do a lot of work with employers. We'll start an equity and housing strand as well, because we know gentrification is alive and well in these United States. And in our teams, we support leadership teams with their capacity development. How can you lead for equity in your organization? We're really clear that if you're not talking about the dollars and cents, you weren't talking to this beloved community, because if we're not moving money, if the policy isn't redirecting funding, isn't really subsidizing what people need, we're not going to get to these economic equity outcomes.
You know,
Go ahead.
you know, I consistently say to you, you will start talking about yourself.
It's true, y'all. It's true.
You will start talking about yourself, and then you'll have the conversation somehow naturally switches to
Yeah.
this, you know, which is great as, you know, when you're talking about your business and your career, but we're talking to
Mhm.
you tonight.
Me. Just
You
me.
happen to be the person, yes, you happen to be the person who started Beloved Community,
Yes.
the DEI firm out of Louisiana. You happen to be um, the person who is fueling that machine, right?
Mhm.
But tonight we're talking about Rhonda, who
Okay.
happens to be that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I
All
take
right.
it. I take it.
You take it. All right. Roll with me.
I
Okay.
take it. I
So
take it. Mm-hmm.
when did you? And somebody asked me this question recently, which made me think I should be asking this question more flat out on the show.
Okay.
They said, when did you decide, like, when did you name it that you were an advocate?
Ooh. It's a great question. So, um, I say my first identity as an advocate was when I was 9. And I tell this story a lot, but so I'm in 4th grade, and Mrs. Oppenheimer was my teacher. We're in class, and in this class that year, we had a chore chart. So there's an octopus on the wall, laminated poster on the wall. And you know, octopus has 8 arms and little, I'm looking like this because my seat was here and I looked at the wall like this. I literally sat next to this octopus.
Okay.
And it was a chore chart. So everybody had a turn. You would get on the octopus. You would learn all 8 of the classroom jobs. You do like one a week. You would do it for like a week or something and move on to the next one. And then you would get off the octopus chart. So everybody had a chance to learn everything. And one day we're in class, we're like doing a test. I finish early. Another student finishes early. And Mrs. Oppenheimer sends her outside to clap the erasers. Now, mind you, in 4th grade, clapping the erasers outside was one of the most coveted jobs, right? Because you get to class. Yes. Well, you didn't grow up in Louisiana. In Louisiana,
oh, okay.
Yeah, our schools.
Well, we were
I know our schools were like we have outdoor hallways. Like it was just like buildings connected by walking paths, right? So you weren't like in a building with, at least in my school that year, you weren't in a building where.
Oh, you mean like you had trailers?
It wasn't even a trailer. These are permanent buildings. It was just built on sidewalks.
I didn't mean to derail the question. I just I just heard clapping erasers, and I was like, no, we weren't looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, no, we loved it because you go outside and like clap the building. Anyway, so Ms. Oppenheimer sends somebody out to clap the erasers. I look at the octopus chart. I'm like, this little girl, because we had the same last alphabet name, so I knew she wasn't on the chart because I wasn't on the chart. And I look over, and sure enough, her name's not anywhere on the chart. So I sit down in my best 4th grade cursive and I write a letter to Mrs. Oppenheimer about how she's being unfair to our class, unfair to our learning experience. If the point of the chart was to give everyone an opportunity to learn, to participate, to be a part of keeping our classroom space in order, she's actually keeping some other child from learning their work by letting someone else go outside to clap the erasers.
And you were 9.
I was 9. I folded it up. I left it on her desk at the end of the school day, and I went home, super proud of myself. And I get home, and Daddy is there, and I say, Daddy, I tell him what I did. I tell him I saw what I did. And my father says, that's not your job.
Oh.
That teacher can do whatever she wants in her classroom. You keep your head down and do your work. And you go back to school and apologize to her. And I was like, Daddy, but she was wrong. And he's like, she's the adult.
I don't like that answer.
Oh, girl, so I go back to school the next day. I walk up to Mrs. Oppenheimer at recess because I'm not going to do this in front of the class. I walk up to her at recess, and she's outside on duty in the covered walkway. And I present my apology. And the worst part about all of this is that she just laughs. And she's like, oh, I didn't take that seriously anyway, baby. And I was on the inside, like, you were wrong.
No, that would have been, yeah.
Oh, you're wrong. You're wrong. Young people have rights. Not even just like we have the rights. I mean, clapping erasers is not the thing, but like if what you're trying to do in your classroom is say we are a community, we all have something to contribute. It doesn't matter how smart you are, or how fast you are, or how whatever you are, you have value here. And we're all going to grow and learn together. And then you're saying, oh, well, since so-and-so finished early, they get to practice more. They get to, no, that's not right. That's not right.
So at age 9, I was snitching. I was telling my mother, I was quick to go home and be like, that lady said this, that, and all of that. Because my mom, she would go in ready. She ain't ask no questions. So I was snitching at age 9, and I think maybe pouring salt on slugs or something. I wasn't writing letters, but I think, but that's interesting. But if I was, let me say this. If I was, because I can relate to the respect for authority, but also the desire to question it, right? So I'm pretty sure there were times where I questioned it, but I'm not sure if it was at age 9, it definitely wasn't that well thought out. Did any of y'all write letters at age 9? I'm not even gonna ask, but I already know you did. So, but that's interesting that you started that young ago. Now, when you say that is the earliest memory that you have of advocating for yourself, would that be the same time that you actually named it? Like, did you at age 9 say, you know what, I'm an advocate?
You know, I think what showed up in the next set of years was more around. No, I think so. I think so.
Good.
That was the clearest direct action, right? Right. Like no
Yeah.
one organized me to take my action.
Yeah.
Um, I remember going through because I have an uncle who's 3 months older than I am, and he and I grew up together. We went to the same schools for a while, and I remember when I got into classrooms and we had like sofas in the classroom, and like we're doing experiments and all this stuff, and he didn't have sofas in his classroom, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense. We're both kids, we're the same age, we live in the same house and eat the same food. He would like this. He would like to be in a classroom where he could hang out on the carpet and not have to sit in a desk all day. And so I would talk about that, but it didn't lead me to an action in the same way. And then, yeah, I think through middle school and high school, started doing more like organized advocacy work with student groups and student leadership groups. And, you know, I mean, and to your point, the question about when did I name it for myself? You know, I think other people saw and named for me what I was doing. And I was often surprised, like, oh, you see that in me? And they're like, ma'am, you're doing it. Come on and do it officially with this title. That happened a few times before.
I just want to put this out there. I have to say this. I love that the quote I used on Instagram just came back. It worked. I said, dang, I really hope you, I really don't.
I'll look.
It was definitions belong to the definers, not to the defined. And I feel like that just came back.
Yeah.
I just want to put that out there that I have a prophetic spirit. I'm just kidding.
Indeed.
But yes. But okay, so, but now I'll say this. The reason, and one of the reasons I asked that is because we do know that you are a DEI professional. The DE, yeah, I said that right. Well, some people are saying DEIA now.
People say all kinds of things. People say
Jedi,
people say ready.
Yeah, it's like it evolves. All of these acronyms evolve, right? Yeah, but diversity, equity work, social justice, the work, anti-racist work. So one of the reasons why I said when did you name it is because I'm always curious when people actually learn the language, right? Like when people actually identify with the terms that would empower them to be those things, right? So if at age 9, you already knew what an advocate was. I don't think at age 9, I'd ever had the conversation where the word advocate was actually used, right? Or activist was actually used.
Yeah.
So I don't think I didn't learn the language until like when I joined the debate team in high school. But I'm always interested when people are in this field, when they actually learn these terms, learn this language enough to really decide that this is where they are, and how, and a second thing to that, how do we help people learn sooner, right? Like the folks that we're engaging with. So I guess my question to you is like, you obviously were given that language pretty early, but is that your experience that you're meeting people who have the language? And if not, how do you transfer that? How do you help balance that out in your work?
Interesting. So, you know, in my former life, I was a linguist. And so this conversation about having the language is really interesting. Like, I think the language gives you a way to talk to other people about what you're doing and what you believe, but the work itself is yours, whether you name it for someone else or not. And like, when I think about how early advocacy showed up in my life, it wasn't because I first had the language, it was because I first understood the injustice, right? And was infuriated by the injustice. I started teaching when I was 17. I knew at 16, I'm like, what's happening right now in education, like the disparity I was just talking about between me and my uncle, right? Like I could see that at 9. At 16, I was like, it's worse, right?
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I'm going away to boarding school. He's going to prison.
Mm-hmm.
School treated us really differently, and reinforced different things for us. Even though, again, living in the same house, eating the same food, going to the same park, but school had a role to play. And in some ways, school is mirroring this societal thing. And school said, hey, Rhonda, you're good at school. You're going to get these passes. And by 16, I was like, what is my work to do? And what can I do now? And at that point, I thought, maybe it's early childhood. Like, how do we shift the conversation from the beginning, right? Because he and I went to kindergarten, first grade at the same school. How do we change the conversation in the beginning? And I really deeply believed that I had work to do then. I wasn't waiting for college. I wasn't waiting for a degree. This was the first time that I wasn't waiting for someone else to tell me or to give me permission to do this work. And I started looking for my own opportunities to start teaching. And whatever program I thought I was looking for, I never found it. But what I did find was Summer Bridge. That's what it was called at the time. Now it's called Breakthrough. And started coming to teach in New Orleans that summer between junior and senior in high school. I was like, this is where I can do the work. This is how I can start disrupting inequity in education now.
Do you think that I feel like I know, like I'm from High Point, right, North Carolina, and even though it's a small town, it's still a college city, and we're surrounded by university. I mean, it's North Carolina. We've got the most universities, and I mean, basically, we are a studying state, right? So we had all kinds of programs from GAMSAC, Upward Bound, to MSSP, and my mother actually ran a lot of those programs. So even though we weren't supposed to have them, we went to them, right? But I still find that the programs.
Sorry, hold on a minute.
Hey, y'all, who's out there? I can't see who's in the chat. I can just see that you're in the chat. So tell us who you are. Say hello. So I was saying, I think she can still hear me.
I'm here.
I know. I was gonna say, I feel like you could probably still hear me. I was saying that, I wonder. We talk about like access to programming and things like that, but it seems like you were saying you didn't have programs, but you still were able to find something. And I have found historically that a lot of places that have tons of programs, the young people still come out with these like extreme deficiencies when it comes to comparing them to other communities. So I wonder like what that balance looks like. Like when do we what is the line that's like the sweet spot for our communities? Like do we continue to inundate some communities with programs? Do we take the programs out completely and create some type of community-based learning thing? Like, what does that look like? What is the dream state, I guess?
Ooh, are we dreaming?
We're dreaming. We're always dreaming. Dreaming is a thing.
If I were in a total dream state, I would say we're doing the program as school. Right? Like the idea that our academic content has to be the driver of how we're teaching, I think is a misnomer, right? Like if you look at whatever the standards are, here's the literacy, here's the math, here's the physics, here's the life skills, you can teach any of that content through a different lens. Right. So I am most attracted. There was a school in DC that was doing this 15, 20 years ago, where they had full-time artists who were the primary teachers. And it's like, yeah, I'm teaching history. I'm a dancer. I run a dance company and I teach history here. And we're going to learn history through this lens of dance and movement and formal organized dance and community dance. Right?
This school was in DC.
I can't remember the name of the school. Okay, well,
I'm gonna go. Somebody research that. We're gonna go through a research rabbit hole on that one because I'm interested to know what happened to that because I don't think it's still there. I'm pretty sure it's not there.
If you don't know about it, because you were in DC for a long time,
Yeah,
it's probably
and I was in the school, so that would be the
yeah,
dream place.
yeah,
Oh,
you would have.
we're dreaming.
Yeah, we're
Let's
dreaming.
dream that back. Dream that back.
Yes,
Yeah.
let's dream
Yeah.
that back, right? Like we can
Yeah.
get to the work that we need, to the things
Mm,
that resonate with young people, and still do the content. It doesn't have to be this either or piece. I think
yeah.
in the dream state, young people also get to name what they want,
Mm,
right? Like so much of what we do, and this is as someone who, started a
mm,
network of schools and ran schools,
yeah.
we put our adult expectations on young people. And then we put
Mm,
our adult reputation and our adult ego on young people's results.
right.
If the young people get to say, this is what I want to learn about,
Mm,
and as an adult guide, an adult leader, a teacher in their classroom, I can say, wonderful, I can teach you about how to build a historic timeline with that content.
mm,
You learn the skill, right? It doesn't have to be. So I'll give this example, very clear
mm,
example. When my son was in third grade, they're learning about historic timelines. And what the content was like, I don't know, 16th century French kings, something like this.
mm,
And the teacher kept saying, oh, he's really struggling with the timeline, or like keeping all of the people together. And I said, if you gave him the choice right now to build this timeline based on Star Wars, man,
mm.
he could do it all. He would like wake
Right.
up like this and like talk about Star Wars. I'm like, were you dreaming and talking Star Wars in your sleep? But he could do like all the universe, all the players, all their backstory. Like here's
Mhm,
a 400-page book of all the characters, all of it, right? And kept it
mhm,
all in order in his brain.
mhm.
He could have put that on a timeline for you and demonstrated the skill.
Yeah, but you
But
didn't meet him where he was.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And so I think there's some of that.
I
Um,
find it's kind of like the in the state that it's in now.
mhm,
This whole like entering into schools, trying to the art of or the goal of educating children, especially Black children, is like the Hunger Games. Like it's right now, like I'm jurying a grant right now, right? And
mhm,
it's a decent grant, and they want to pay people to go into the schools and into these different places. And there's so much quality education. Like there's so many quality offerings. The applications, like the content of the applications, not necessarily the writing, but the content of the applications was really good as far as what the programs are supposed to do.
mhm,
But they're all fighting for the same itty bitty little pot of money, and they're only going to let but so many of them in to have access to these young people. And it's like, so why can't they have all of it? like, like I want them to have all of it. Or I had a woman has said, well, they're asking for, it was an art, the application was about art, you know,
mhm,
and she designed this perfect classroom in her budget. Like, this is what I would love to do for the kids, this perfect classroom. I loved that she went there, that she wasn't drafting it small so that it could fit into the confines of the costs, right? Or how much she could get. And somebody was like, well, do they really need stools? Can't they use their chairs? And in my mind, and at first I was like, what did you just, why are you here? But 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 I had to explain to her, I was like, yes, they could use chairs,
mhm,
but if they use the chairs, they're not getting the experience of like the way, doing it the way that a professional
mhm,
artist would. Hey, Lacey, the way a professional artist would. They're not getting the benefit of doing it in the way that the teacher wants to give it to them.
mhm.
And I was like, so do we continue to say, we'll just give them like 60%, like at least they're having the experience, or do we give it to them the way they deserve to have it? And
Mhm,
can't we give
mhm,
them all of them?
mhm. Yes.
Like I was fortunate. I had dope stuff. I had access to the program. My mom's a professor. My dad's military. We had access. But I meet people who like, I met kids in DC when I was teaching. They had never been to the White House
Mhm.
their
Yeah.
whole life. These are
Yeah.
high school students. Had never been to the White
Yeah.
House. And I was
Yeah.
like, I mean, I know White House is not a destination, but you should have seen it.
Right. Right. You live right here. Mhm.
People
But it's
travel
like
for
that.
hours.
It's like that everywhere, right? I taught in New York. worked in Brooklyn and Queens, kids in Brooklyn who had never been to Manhattan. Not ever. Like, we went on a field trip one day, and I had a student, and like, this was way before smartphones and even MapQuest, right? So we had these little books. It was like a little
MapQuest.
Look, it was before all this. So like, we had a little book that was like a street map of Brooklyn, and you would turn the page and it showed every CVS and Dwayne Reed, every subway station, all the entrances, landmarks, all the stuff, right? So I'd always show the kids, I'm like, here's where we're going, right? I don't want you to, if you get separated from me, I want you to know where we are and how to get going. And so we come out of the train, and I'm showing them, this is where we're getting off. Here's where we're going. We're going to like African Cinema Festival, I think, African Film Festival. And one of my students, 16-year-old, says, "What part of Manhattan is this? Oh, no, what part of Brooklyn is this?"
Oh.
And we're like, "No, baby, we're in Manhattan." She's like, "Oh, I haven't been here yet." And I was like, "Y'all all have bus passes. Y'all all have the free MTA card from school."
Well, it ain't really. Now, I will say New York's different. New York is a special place to me because I don't know if I didn't have a kid when I was in New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I did have a kid when I was there, I don't know if I would have let him go to Manhattan.
You know, there are a lot of 16-year-olds who do whatever they want.
No, that's true. That's true. But I'm saying, like, I think I might have and I'm saying this as something like, because when I lived in Brooklyn, it felt like we felt like we were in a community, right? Like, I actually really liked my time in Brooklyn. When I left Brooklyn to go into Manhattan to work, I was like, oh,
it's different.
It was rough. You know what I mean? It was just a hard place, and super fast and super racist and just all of the stuff. It was just icky and then add that it smelled bad, right? Like, it was just really all those things. Didn't it always smell like, especially when the snow would start to melt? Yo,
you were romanticizing Brooklyn because Brooklyn has some funky smells. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, it did, but remember, I'm talking about like my little cut.
Yeah.
Like, I had my little cut, and we just kind of stayed there. We were right off the park and all this other stuff, you know. So I wasn't really. So from that perspective, I might have also, my child might have been 16 before they ran off into the city on their own and decided to do that or whatever. But I find in places like that, because of how segregated they are, like you're gonna the same thing. You're gonna see people never left the Bronx because why? You know, whatever. They don't relate to anybody in these other places because they're so ethnically separated. It's not just like, I don't know if y'all have been to New York. Anybody who's in the chat, or who's here, but I'm from North Carolina, and racism showed up to me in New York. I had never really, like, I'm sure that I was experiencing it as a child, but because of the way it was packaged, it didn't feel like I was. Like, Lacey, we're from the same place. You chime in. We went to school with white kids. We really didn't have anything when I was growing up of white and black. We didn't get like there was a large like Taiwanese population. Okay. But like we would go to school together, but we would all go home, and you would just be with your family and your friends. And if you hung out with, like, if you were a black person, hung out with white people, you had like friends or whatever, you kind of just met on neutral ground. But there were places you knew were white, and there were places you knew, they never should. There are places you knew were white, there are places you knew was black, and you just never were there. New York, though, I got my ass handed to me in New York. I was ready to fight all the time. Like, who are you talking to like that? Like, I couldn't believe it. It came and it was so aggressive. I was like, oh, y'all, let me go home.
Wow.
I was surprised. And then when I found out that New Jersey had the largest number of KKK members in the country, I was like, where am I? It's a twilight zone. Because the South is trash when it comes to racism. So I was like, there's worse places? I thought this is where they fought for freedom. But they told you in school.
You're funny. It's different. I mean, I think growing up in Lafayette, you can't walk away from any of the racism.
Oh, something just happened. Something just happened. We just
What
got
happened?
static with you.
A what? A what?
We just got you
Oh, a
being
sad look
static.
at me. A sad look at me. Yeah, yeah. No, I think, um, yeah, there's no, um, I don't know a world without racism. Um, I don't. Um, and so I don't,
Um,
when I moved to New York, I didn't have like a sense of like, this is worse here. No,
oh, you didn't? Okay.
um,
I'm getting static from you, Rhonda. What happened?
what kind of static? What are you talking about? What happened?
You can't hear? Yeah, you sound like a robot. Something just happened. Right, right. I don't know what just happened. Maybe I'm the only one that is hearing it,
I
but
don't know.
it just happened,
Okay, okay,
and
I
so
don't
I
know.
couldn't hear what you were saying.
I was just saying that that growing up where racism was super pervasive all the time, I didn't experience New York when we moved to New York in 2001. I didn't experience it as patently different.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
no, not at all. Right? Like in Louisiana, in Lafayette specifically, I'm not even going to speak for anywhere else in Louisiana. In Lafayette, I grew up in Black schools and then went to majority white schools. Um, and was always in these gifted accelerated programs where I was often in my class the only Black girl or one of two or one of three. Um, and so we had this friendship with like, okay, who are the Vietnamese kids and the Taiwanese kids and the Indian kids, especially girls? Like, okay, well, we're the girls who are going to hang out um, and make friendship together. And even that was hard to navigate. Like I remember being in second grade and we won a what did we win? Like something for good grades. We won tickets to the Harlem Globetrotters. So we go to the Harlem Globetrotters game. My
Not a
dad made,
Harlem Girl fan.
remember the Globetrotters? That used to be a big deal.
And my dad played against them when he was in the Navy.
My
I'll tell you
goodness.
the story later. Go ahead.
Yes, yes, yes. But, so we're at the game, and my dad took me, and my friend Han was there too. And Daddy got me popcorn. I go to share my popcorn, and he's like, "Why are you giving that little girl your popcorn?" I was like, "Daddy, that's my friend." And he's like, "Oh, okay, well." And I'm like, we were children, right? But like to your point about you do that stuff at school, and home is home.
Yeah.
Um, but we had like this space where we're keep your head down, do your work, do well in school, and you're like this little cluster of kids of color in this largely white school program.
Mm.
And I definitely remember like someone would ask, "Oh, what's your favorite time period in history if you could go back to any time in history?" And the white girls would say, "Antebellum South."
Oh yeah, pretty dresses,
Like,
big
yeah,
portraits.
literally. They would literally say that. "Oh, the dresses are just so pretty." And I'm like, "Are you kidding
Mhm.
me?" And then like and then the worst part is then they would say, "Oh, but I would have been good to you."
Oh,
Ma'am, I would have killed you in your sleep. What are we talking about? Right? But like
oh,
you grow up in that, like it and these are the people who profess to love you, right? These are your friends. These are the people you go to church with. I went to a predominantly white church. We were one Black family for a long time. Then we were two Black families. I think by the time I left, we were three Black families.
oh,
And
I
these
don't know.
folks who call themselves good Christians. There was a couple that came in,
Mhm. Right, that is crazy, lazy. Mm.
they were college sweethearts, Black man and a white woman in the faith. And you should have seen this church lose their minds when they said they were engaging in to get married. And
Ooh.
this is like, I don't know, 1988, 89,
Look,
90,
I don't. I'm.
lose their minds. But y'all
Yo,
got this little
this
kid.
conversation is making me feel real blessed right now because I'm. We like because I don't know. Shut up! My face doesn't because every church I went to was blackity black 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 black. We had no. I never. or that it was our church. Like it was my auntie was the pastor, or this person, whatever. My cousin was whatever.
Yeah.
Like I've never experienced that before, and even as an adult, I've never experienced that. So I'm listening, like, dang, that's crazy. We've been, I don't, but I think that I'm gonna tell you this. I get talked about a lot, or I used to get talked about a lot. I don't really say it as much because I got tired of getting talked about. But I used to say, I don't know if I was one of those people that would have been totally against segregation, right? Like I do have an issue with when I say and when I say that I mean like sacred spaces, right? Like my home, my community, my neighborhood, my church. But I understand, and it's been explained to me over and over and over again that that the what benefits came from integration. But to me also still, I'm just like, I don't know if I've never questioned. If I was in a church they had done that, right? I'd be questioning my faith like I don't know what. Like I would have so many thoughts about like the people that I was sharing church with. And that would have caused me, and I know because of how deep I go into my faith practice, that would have caused me some stress, or things like that. And I like when my mother, when we moved back from North Carolina from Ohio, and that doesn't mean that I wasn't in white spaces. We lived in Tiffin, Ohio, and Anchorage, Alaska, and like what I'm saying. Those are just like white all day long. But when we bought our home or my mother bought our home in High Point, our final home, it was in a white neighborhood, right? And I constantly was all the way across town with my friends and my grandmother and all of them because that's where Black folks were. And so even though I was living there, my upbringing, I feel like was really anchored in just what it was like to walk up and down the street and everybody on the block be Black. And I miss that a little bit. I miss that a little bit. I miss not questioning why somebody is here.
Yeah.
Right. I live in Holly Grove, and I see, white people that are here in Holly Grove. I don't know if I expected that, but I question because of what's happening in Holly Grove.
Yeah.
Why they're here. Not that do they deserve to live wherever they want to live? Do I deserve to live wherever? But like, are you one of the people that's coming here because you don't want us in our neighborhood anymore? Like, I feel like it makes you suspicious. This made me suspicious.
Yeah.
Once I left just being around my folks to being in a world full of other people, and in this melting pot of our country or whatever, it's made me consistently suspicious. And I'm always pleased to find out that I'm wrong when I'm wrong, right? But suspicious. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think it's there's a lot. There's a lot to unpack in that, right? Like there's a whole there's a lot. There's all this one of my mentors in St. Louis, who had lived through the integration of the Black Teachers College, would talk about how they were proponents of integration, right? Like we were doing the fight, and when we got what we wanted, we lost what we had,
right?
And he's talking about it from not just from being in a comfort space of seeing people who look like you up and down the street. He's like, no, we ran all the businesses in our neighborhoods, right? All the funeral homes and the grocery stores and the tailor and the banks, we ran it all. And we had really high standards for education in our neighborhood schools. And then I would go and learn, right? Like he's like, we would take our students at the college to do student teaching in white schools. Because we're like, we want you to see what it's like over there. Not that you should go over and teach there, but we want you to see what it's like, see what they're doing, see how it compares to what we're doing.
Yeah.
and get that education, right?
Right.
And it's something that always sits with me, right? Like, what is it?
Mhm.
And it's like a story that you could tell all across the United States,
Yeah.
in different communities about what has been forever lost in our
Mhm.
neighborhoods, right? We're living this in New Orleans now. Like, what are the ways that we're trying to regain ground in Black-led economy? Um,
What are the ways we're trying to regain
I mean, here I think about you put this wine down, man. No, I'm thinking when I
I'm
said that,
not
I think
finished.
specifically about the Claiborne corridor,
Uh-huh.
specifically about Aretha Castle Haley,
Right.
and
Oh
like
yeah.
starting to, like, how do we reinvest in neighborhood infrastructure,
Mhm.
and then um, create opportunity for business owners to come and re- not reoccupy that space, but bring that space back, right? So
Do we want it back?
those are two examples I was thinking of. You know,
Because I mean, it's different all around it now, right? Like when I went to visit Tulsa,
mhm,
because I wanted to see, what was the
Black
Greenwood
Wall Street.
district,
Mhm,
what
yeah,
was
yeah,
Black Wall Street, what was this,
yeah.
and I've gone to a couple of other places. Not that I was like massacre chasing, but happened to be, I happened to end up in places where bad shit happened, and I was like, well,
Mhm, mhm,
let me go enrich myself, right? Pay respect. And when you look around, like it's like, do we want to be back here where this harm took place,
mhm.
or is there a space for us to create again, but a new space that's just ours? That was just a thought I really wanted to get out. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go
Mhm.
ahead.
No, it's fine, but also, like, where's that space gonna be, man? Where's this magical space
I
that
have
we
no idea.
haven't been harmed in? Where?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I love Gullah Coast, right? I love the
Mhm,
Gullah Coast. I
mhm.
love the Sea Islands. I even think Charleston is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. But I mean, Charleston Town Square is a slave market,
Correct, correct.
So like, I don't want to be there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I was like, maybe she has an answer. Maybe she has
Yeah, I was like,
little
I don't want to be there.
special place that we haven't been harmed in, because I don't know what it is. When we moved home, I was driving the kids around. I was like, you know what? We're gonna do
That's why
like
I'm from mahogany.
some historical, like drive around New Orleans for them to understand what these monuments are. We
Yeah,
came out in the height of Take 'em Down NOLA, and
yeah.
I was like, this is what this is about, right? So don't get confused or excited about you see this or this or this in somebody's yard. No, these are all monuments to Confederacy. These are all monuments to people who want us to still be enslaved today, right? Let's go
Yeah.
to Whitney Plantation. And it was hot. We almost passed out. The Whitney Plantation in July, it was a day. But like, to be like this,
Oh,
right? All of this was plantations, all of it,
yeah.
right? And like, these are people who died.
I wasn't ready for Whitney Plantation.
Yeah, you have to get your mind right.
I wasn't ready. I don't think I had conceptualized
Yeah, yep.
enslaved children before.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was a thing,
Yeah,
but I wasn't ready.
yeah,
I wasn't prepared. I tell myself I need to go back, but I don't think I will.
yeah, yeah. It's you have to be
But it's
ready.
just, I love taking the streetcar. That's my favorite date.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To get on the streetcar and just ride the St. Charles streetcar.
Yeah.
But one night we were doing that, and I'm gonna tell you for a second there, I thought you had turned up a bottle of wine. The we
I keep thinking that.
we I know you, but I know you have ambition after this. But we had we one night we were doing that, and somebody was calling out the slave quarters, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, that messed this up for me. Now I'll never drive. I'll never do it again without seeing that little house on the back or that little room that sticks out from the side or whatever. I was like, dang,
Yeah.
why did you do it? I was enjoying the architecture.
Yes, exactly, all the architecture. Yes. Yes. One night I
I
went
was
down this rabbit hole and you're like looking at the
pretty,
maps. Because I'm like,
and they
here.
were bold.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
were like, oh, but that's where the slaves live, right there. See, look at that one. I bet they was right there. I was like, dang, they were right though.
Yeah.
They were
No,
so
they're right.
right.
This is the architecture. So we have all these maps of old New Orleans, and I don't know why. One night I go down this rabbit hole of like looking at the maps of our neighborhood, and you look at the maps, and they don't even come this far, right? It's like, okay, let's show you like here's where the ships came in. This is where the slave owners were doing their trade. Here is where they did grain processing or whatever it was. And then you get to St. Charles, and they're like, yep, we built these houses here. You cross over, and it goes like 3 blocks. And then it's just like magically just trees on the map.
Yeah.
And I was like, fools, we're not even on the map. You didn't even put like, here's where the actual slave quarters were. Here's the people working in the fields. Right, we're not even on the map.
But you know, one thing I will say about this place, because I have had my back and forth about Louisiana. I do think this is one of the hardest places I've ever lived when it comes to like it's like it brings you get engulfed in the beauty because it's one of the most beautiful states. And I don't just mean New Orleans. I actually mean mostly outside of New Orleans. It's gorgeous. Especially like the state parks in Baton Rouge and the waterfalls. I mean, I just like Louisiana is a gorgeous place, right? So you get sucked into that. And then the first thing you're introduced to, no matter who introduces you, the first thing you're introduced to is the flair, right? Like they take you to Congo Square Park, and you see the people dancing in Congo Square. You see the people dancing, and you see the skirts and and it's all like, oh gosh. And then you start thinking about your own self, like, oh my God, I am Haitian, so this is where I'm supposed to be. You do all of that, right? And then like you're relating so hard. And then when you get, or at least in my experience, and then when you get here, when I got here, I was like, there's so much I don't understand about a culture of people who came from so many different places of colonization, I guess I could say, right? Like it's like this, it's like you got Spanish influence, French influence. I mean, it's just like, it's overwhelmed. It's like, and you want to care about all of it. You want to think about all of it. You want to go into all of it. You want to experience all of it, and the colors and the this and the food. And then I realized recently I had a conversation about whether I was going to stay, right? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to stay.
Oh, okay. I was asking what was the answer. Okay.
Yeah, because my son loves it here.
Good.
And it took me, when my grandmother passed, I went up to Algiers Point and I sat at the Mississippi. That's Mississippi. And I watched the boats go by. Just watching the boats go by. And this guy was reading one of the little placards on the ground out loud. I had not looked at them. I had not really paid them any attention.
Yeah.
And he was saying how that was one of the largest docking points and having access to that in times where you need to pray and cry and reach out to the ancestors and, tap in, for lack of better phrasing, is something I've never had anywhere else. Not even in North Carolina by the water.
Really? Huh. That's interesting.
Like, I mean, because in North Carolina you have Cape Fear, you have a lot of stuff that happened at Cape Fear, but it all came, we came through here to get there. So to me, it just was, it just is different. It felt different. It feels different. And I was like, I don't have this when I leave here. And I go constantly. I'll never live in Algiers, but I go there all the time.
Yeah.
I can't do the bridge. The bridges, I'm terrified of bridges. I don't know if you know that, but
no. Okay. There was
like debilitating fear.
A few years ago for Prospect 4, Carl Walker did an installation at that site in Algiers. And there was an organ, and she essentially designed the organ. And I cannot remember, I think different people played it at different points, but we went out the opening one weekend when she was in town. And it was just haunting, right? To like really sit in the space and with the music. Yeah.
Oh, hey, Lavette, my Lavette is here. Yeah, but yeah, like I was saying, now I will say this for New Year's. Oh, I want to know what you're doing for New Year's. For New Year's, this will be the first year since
What?
I don't know how long.
Oh.
I'm gonna be in Gullah Country for New Year's.
Oh,
I'm
you're going
really
home.
excited.
Awesome.
Really, well, no, like I'm going, like my mother lives more inland now, so when we're home, we're like, but I'm going to where my daddy people from, closer, outside, and I'm excited, and I have already begged to participate in some different activities and stuff, and I got some people making me some red rice and all kinds of things, so I'm super, super pumped about bringing in the New Year's, with my folks. I think that like I think I need this. And then I'm celebrating my 40th soon. So I'm trying to figure out, like, do I go out and do things I've done before because I know they're fun, or do I try something? I'm all over the place right now with celebrations. I'm so excited to be in this season. So I want to know, what are you doing for New Year's? How are you how are you bringing it in?
I love it. Kim and I are doing a couples night at this like fancy New Year's Eve party. I've never ever been to I think it's like the New Orleans ball drop event, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it has a name. I forget the name, but I did buy an outfit this weekend.
Okay, is it yellow?
No, it's not. You'll have to be surprised. I do have my eye on a red, orange, and yellow outfit for a gala season. So, I have to say,
you'll bring it back, huh?
consistent. But no, but I'm super excited to have like some fancy get dressed and go.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it's going to be like. I've never done anything like this before. I've done lots of things for New Year's Eve over the years, but this is the first time that I've gone to like the parties you see on TV.
Talk about fancy get dressed and go. I went on a date.
What'd you put on?
And I dressed up.
Okay.
And I was like dressed up. Like I was out here like.
Yes, it smell good.
Do you know? And I smell good. Do you remember Pure Seduction by Victoria's Secrets?
I don't know anything about Victoria's Secrets.
Okay, well, they have this smell that I used to wear when I was in high school.
Oh, it's a perfume?
And I found it again, and I'm just so pleased. I missed it so much. It's like nostalgia, but it smells so good.
Oh,
but yeah,
I
know I'm super old and also very, very young in spring. But I went on a date. I went dancing.
Okay.
And I went.
You dancing?
I know, because I can't. Well, let me say that. Let me stop saying that. Let me stop saying that. I can dance.
You can dance. Right? You're not the choreographed.
I can't do choreographed.
Yeah. We can all dance.
I'm gonna fumble the beat at least twice on a track, but I'm gonna come back from it, and I feel like that's the important part. Is I always come back. So I dance, and when I fumbled the beat, he ain't saying nothing.
Oh, that's love.
That's nice, right? That's nice. It's not love. It was the first date. We're not doing that yet. But it was the.
Well, this is early dating. Okay, this is early dating. Okay.
Early dating. So I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite date night?
Ooh. Okay. I like the idea of a proper date, where Kim asked me if I want to go out, and I can think about, would I like to go out? Yes, I would like to go out. And then she plans a thing and we go and do it. And our first proper date, she took me to the airport in the East, and we went on a like little flight around the city, like a 4-seater plane tour of the city. Yeah.
That's sexy.
Yeah.
Nobody on here old. That's sexy.
Yeah, it was really lovely.
Uh,
Yeah, because she was like, what do you do with somebody who already travels a lot, right? Who already like goes to all the
yeah,
places.
that's all the things.
Like, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, so I like proper date nights. I really like meal and activity, and like here's like some solo time, and then maybe meet up with friends later. So like maybe we have dinner together, and then we go out on our own walk, or we have our own dinner and we meet friends later for drinks, or meet friends for cocktails, go to our dinner, go dancing. And I say go dancing, it's COVID. We haven't been dancing since COVID. We don't know when we're ever going to go dancing again because COVID. But I really cannot wait for us to be able to have another night on the dance floor. Yes, somewhere, like sweating it up with the people in public. We used to go to, can I tell, how much time we have? Can I tell the story real quick?
Yeah, go
So,
ahead, go.
yes, so the first day we met, we went to lunch, and I was planning for this to be like a 30-minute quick meeting. I had other things to do. I'm like, let me slot this woman in, meet her real quick, go on about my day. We wound up having a 4-hour-long lunch because she's amazing. And yes, and we just clicked like that from the beginning. And so towards the end of lunch, we were talking about dancing. And I said, oh yeah, you should meet me on the dance floor sometime. She says, oh, what's your favorite? Where do you like to go dancing in New Orleans? And I said, well, my favorite party is Ascendance. And she starts to laugh.
Parties. That's
Yes,
right.
those were good parties.
Yeah, they were good parties. They were.
Yes.
You had a Ascendance party?
Yes, for sure. And so she starts to laugh, and I was like, why are you laughing? And she says, because my brother's a DJ. I'm in town this weekend to see him. I was like, oh, okay, well, meet me on the dance floor. So sure enough, she meets me on the dance floor. Let me do this little like, yeah. And we just dancing together ever since. But whenever we're out, the young people are like, oh, y'all give us hope for the future. I want to be like you when I'm older. I'm like, we're not that old, okay? Number one. And number two, we do look cute. Yes. So we need some more. We need some more time on the dance floor soon.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Soul Rebels is my favorite New Orleans band. They're fun. They're a lot of fun, and especially the guy who plays the trumpet. He's really fun. And they play every Thursday night at the. I can't say it. It's French. La Bonne Temps Roulette.
Oh, le bon temps roulé? Yeah.
That.
I don't know. Look,
That
you know.
What you just said.
Yeah, I don't know how people in New Orleans say it, but that's, yeah. Le bon temps roulé.
That's how it's supposed to be said.
Yeah.
I say, you want to go to La Bonne Temps Roulette?
Why are you so silly?
That's how I say it. But it's such a good time because the Soul Rebels is so fun.
Yeah.
I like, and that's another thing about this place. When I was first coming back and forth here, I was writing a play. And the play was set in New Orleans, and it was
I didn't know this part.
Yeah, it was kind of like what I think happened to Paris, Marie Laveau's first husband. I was like, what if he just was tired of her being 100% accessible to people in the streets and decided to leave? Like, why did it have to be that she? Like he was a traveling contractor. All the things about it, I was like, what if the argument in the home was something that's so regular to what we experience, where it's like when the woman is consistently working and intimidating and in the streets and people need her and call her and when she's a public servant, and what happens if the partner just was like, I can't do this. So anyway, I started working on this play, and it's got tons of blues music and it's fun. And I was coming back and forth here, but I was coming and listening to the music, and I was like, man, y'all get it in. Like, I just really appreciated we have music in the South. We have music in North Carolina, in the South. I consider this the Southeast. We have music in the South, where I'm from, but it's a different vibe.
No, I mean, there's definitely music that was born here, right? Like,
yeah.
And to your point earlier, the mix of who New Orleans is what created that, and what could have created it, right? Like, you couldn't have gotten this. Bless y'all, North Carolina, but y'all couldn't have made jazz with the ingredients that you had.
Yeah, it's a super I use the word sexy to describe everything I like, but it's it's mystifying,
Hmm.
the music here.
Hmm.
I can see why so many people come and but, it is what it is. So this is the time.
I love it.
We're about to be done. It was another Tribe Talking on a Tuesday, but this is the time where you speak without me
Me?
and you say, "Hey, Kia." Oh, you need to know my baby. Kia is over there running things in the arts community in Johannesburg. One of the best people I know. A new grant maker, and I'm so proud of you. I love you so much, and I actually need to talk to you soon about another project. But that's not what's going on here today. Today, right now, we're about to give Rhonda the screen,
Uh-oh.
and well, there you are. And you're gonna tell the people what they need to know, where to find you, where to follow you.
Oh,
Tell them that you got this brilliant book coming out called One Good
yes.
Question. Let them know you just dropped your own app, All by Beloved. If
Why are you
they
telling
own
them my
both.
business, Miriam?
I mean, I'm just putting it out there, just let them know what they need to know and where to
Yeah.
find you so we can get it popping.
Yes, yes, yes. So start off at rhondabroussard.com. My first book, One Good Question, How Countries Prepare Youth to Lead, will be out in 2022. In this book, I'm interviewing education leaders, actors, and advocates from 11 countries, and really getting into their own perspectives about what we have to learn together about young people and leadership. Check out our company, wearebeloved.org, for all things around nonprofit, racial and economic equity. And the newest part of our work at Beloved is AWA. AWA by Beloved is an online software where you can do equity audits, equity work plans, professional development assessments. AWAbybeloved.com is where you can find us. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Most places we're called We Are Beloved US. You can find us there. Hope to see y'all online sometime soon.
Yeah, we did it. All right, we're back. Hold on, I'm bringing us back. Do you see it? Yes, there we are. There we are. So I want to say thank you for being here. Thank y'all for checking in with us. Last week we had some sound issues, so we're going to definitely have to bring Miss Mashiva back so that we can get connected again over generational wealth through for artists and self-employed people through housing and real estate. And next week we have Lisa P, Lady P, Lisa Pingram is going to be here with us from St. Martin, and we're super pumped to hear about all the things that she's doing, her art, and how she's bringing Black women and Black folks up and around. And then, we end for the season. We take a little break and we'll be back after the new year. So thank y'all for being here. It's been another Tribe Talking on a Tuesday with Miriam, and we will check in soon. Bye.
Thanks for having us, Miriam.
Yes, thank you so much for being here.